GC MMA guys, we're coming to you with our full 299 card breakdown. We're joined with our friend Peyton today. He's going to be giving a little bit of his outside insight on these fights today.
What's the first fight on the card?
Michel Pereira and Mikhail Olajaychuk. I'm going to have to go with Mikhail Olajaychuk. I think that his last outing against Njukwani just showed how tough that guy is, and I just think that, you know, Michel Pereira can do the trapeze artist shit and do backflips and fly around the octagon for so long before he gets caught, because he hasn't fought anybody like Michel Olajaychuk yet.
See, boys, I'm gonna have to pick Michel Pereira here. We're having a little split. We're having a little divide in our picks, but I feel like Michel Pereira's weird strategy, his trapeze circus shit is what gonna make him win the fight. I don't think he's gonna be prepared for it, and I think Michel Pereira at middleweight is a lot different than Michel Pereira at welterweight.
So I'm new on the channel, guys, and I'll be honest, I'm not much of a MMA analyst, but it does not take much to realize who's gonna win this fight. Olajaychuk is gonna knock his lights out, bro. He can do all the cute shit, like you said. He can do the backflips, he can do the running on the walls like it's Black Ops 3. But at the end of the day, you still gotta fight and you gotta throw hands. And I just think it's gonna go Olajaychuk's way.
Well, okay, how about this? If I get it right, you guys have to like do whatever I say. Like, you guys have to slam a shot or some shit, or
All right,
shotgun a beer. Loser shotguns a beer. All right.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right, next fight, Ian Cutelaba and Felipe Lins, guys. Would not bet on this fight. My heart really tells me Ian Cutelaba, but that guy has let us down so many times in the past.
I would not bet on this fight if I had a gun pointed to my head. I like Ian Cutelaba, but he goes too rogue for us to put money on him. So don't bet on this fight, guys.
I was more confident in Eric Anders.
And that's saying a lot. He almost got finished by Jamie Pickett.
All right, let's head into the prelims.
Pedro Munoz and Kyler Phillips, guys. I really like Pedro Munoz here at the plus money. Kyler Phillips was having trouble with Raoni Barcelos in his last fight, and I just think that Pedro Munoz is a tricky guy to get adjusted to. I like Pedro Munoz in this fight.
Yeah, Kyler Phillips is going to get fraud checked, and he's going to continue the trend of 2024. I actually liked Pedro Munoz in his fight with Sean O'Malley. Like in the one round that they fought for it, Sean O'Malley couldn't get that much offense off, and if Sean O'Malley can't get that much offense off, Kyler Phillips is not going to do shit. So I'm taking Pedro Munoz at plus money in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pedro Munoz as well. I mean, this seems like a good fight to boost your odds if you're putting together your own parlay. I mean, Pedro Munoz is a plus 185 odds as of right now, and yeah, let's just head to the next one.
Mateusz Gamrot versus RDA, guys. Not a big Gamrot fan, but I'm also an even less of an RDA fan. He's old. Gamrot's gonna come in and steamroll that guy.
Yeah, Gamrot is a good fighter in the lightweight division. RDA is old. He's washed up. He's not going to be able to keep up with the pace.
Rafael Dos Nachos.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to keep up with the Gamrot's pace, and I don't like Gamrot at all, guys. Like, he's basically the Marab of the lightweight division. I don't really like him that much, but I don't see a world where RDA is able to defend the takedowns, and he probably gets outstruck by Gamrot as well.
Curtis Blades versus Gelton Almeida, guys. This is another fight that's a little bit risky. I didn't like Gelton Almeida's performance against Derek Lewis, but I also could not put any money on Curtis Blades. I'm gonna have to go with Gelton Almeida in this fight.
Curtis Blades is not beating Gelton Almeida. Gelton Almeida his grappling's better than Curtis Blades. And his striking is better. Like, everything about Gelton Almeida is just better than Curtis Blades. I don't see Curtis Blades winning this fight. I mean, he's got KO'd a few times in his career. He's getting up. He's a veteran now. Like I just don't see him winning this fight.
Yep, and to add on top of that, Curtis Blades kind of looks like a character you would make in the Ark video game. So I'm just going to have to go with Almeida on that, despite his shitty performance against Derek Lewis.
That's terrible. All right, guys, Peter Yan versus Song Yadong. Now we're getting into the juicy fights. I think this is Peter Yan's comeback fight. I liked Song Yadong a lot in his performance against Sandhagen and Ricky Simone, but really you're going to 5-round decision against Chris Gutierrez on short notice. I think Peter Yan's got some shit to prove. He's not going to be going out like a pussy in this fight, and I think that he's going to piece up Song Yadong, and this is going to be one of the best fights of the night.
You can say a lot about Peter Yan. Sure, he's on a losing streak right now, but 2 out of 3 of his last losses, you could have said that the decision could have gone his way. And losing to EPO Marab, Marab's on performance enhancing drugs, guys. Let's just face it. Like, no human being can shoot that many takedowns.
49 takedowns in 25 minutes. I heard a stat that's like a takedown every 30 seconds.
He's going behind the stage and shooting drugs up his butt to win fights. But Peter Yan, he's gonna come back against Song Yadong. He's throwing heat. We're gonna see that vintage Peter Yan we've been missing for the past couple fights. And yeah, I got Peter Yan by KO.
Yep, and I mean, if you just look at the nationalities of this guy, you don't have to see much of their previous fights, but I mean, you really just can't put money on a Chinese guy over a raw Russian like Peter Yan. He's just got that heart in him, and I just don't really see Song Yadong pulling this one off.
JDM versus Gilbert Burns. I'd be a lot more inclined to take Gilbert Burns if this was a few years ago or directly after the Hamzat Chimaev fight. He just hasn't looked good his last few fights, and you can say what you want about having a broken hand in the Bilal Muhammad fight, but he didn't even finish Jorge Masvidal in the 3-round fight they had, and that's just inexcusable.
Yeah, JDM. Gilbert Burns got knocked out by Kamaru Usman. And
Dan Hooker.
Yeah, and if you think that JDM definitely has better striking than Usman and Dan Hooker, I mean, Gilbert Burns, and you can't even say anything about, oh, Gilbert Burns has a submission threat. Gilbert Burns doesn't even go for submissions nowadays.
Last guy he submitted was Neil Magny. He couldn't even get Wonder Boy out of there.
Yeah, he's fell in love with his striking now, and it's just...
He's fell in love with sucking.
He's fell in love with losing fights because he thinks he's raw at striking, but he's not.
He looks like the shitty Bruno Mars, so I mean, you just can't really put
Bruno
money
Mars,
on Gilbert Burns, bro.
Bruno Mars, if he was a shitty welterweight in the UFC.
Holy shit.
Next fight is Kevin Holland versus MVP. Guys, this is going to be a great fight, and it's honestly a 50-50 in my opinion, because MVP is coming in. He's got the low kicks, which Kevin Holland hasn't been able to deal with very well, but the strength of competition just is not comparable between the two guys.
Bellator.
And I know that Kevin Holland's last fight against JDM was a little bit of a wet fart, but I could definitely see him going in there and piecing up MVP. Like I said, this is going to be a great fight, but I'm leaning towards Kevin Holland.
I would have to agree. I don't think the Bellator fighters come anywhere close to even the shitty UFC fighters like Alex Oliveira. Like I feel like he would be a champion in Bellator, and that's saying a lot. So I've got Kevin Holland, because we know the fight's not going to the ground. Kevin Holland, he has a good ground game, but he doesn't even want to go to the ground in these fights.
This is that gentleman's stand-up agreement.
Yeah, it's going to be a pure striking match, and I would have to say Kevin Holland has had better performances against better fighters in the striking aspect, so I've got Kevin Holland in this one.
Next up, we got Dustin Poirier versus St. Dennis.
Guys, we've seen a lot of people going with the Frenchie on this one, but we're riding with our boy Dustin Poirier. I think it's a bit disrespectful to have him as big of an underdog as he is, and I think that he's going to come in here and he's going to knock this guy out. This fight is going to be fireworks.
Yeah, I think when this fight is done and Dustin Poirier wins and people look back at it, they're going to say, oh shit, why did we pick Saint Denis in that one? Who has Saint Denis beat out of any notable person who is even comparable to Dustin Poirier's skill level? He has not beat. His last win was a KO over Matt Frevola, and Matt Frevola was looking away. He was backing up with his hands down, looking away from Saint Denis. Of course, he's gonna get KO'd. Anybody could have done that. So that win, I don't rank that win very highly at all. I think Dustin Poirier, he's gonna weather the initial storm. He's gonna throw some bombs in the pocket, and once Saint Denis gets pushed back against the fence, it's lights out for him. He's going out.
And that's not to disrespect Saint Denis at all. He definitely has a future in that division. I think he'll be a great fighter. I just think that this is too much of a step up in competition.
Those
too
levels.
soon.
I'm gonna have to agree. I mean, Dustin Poirier, he's got the spice, he's got the hot sauce. I mean, he's been in the UFC for over 10 years now, and he's been raw ever since he came into the scene. And he hasn't lost more than 2 fights in a row. Or has it even been?
He hasn't even lost
two fights in a row. And he's coming off a knockout to the fucking head from that Justin Gaethje kick. But I mean,
Justin Gaethje is not Benoit Saint Denis.
Yeah.
exactly. This is honestly one of the most exciting fights of the night, and I think Dustin Poirier is going to take it.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the main event. And guys, you know, starting from last week, we're starting a new segment on the channel, the Lock of the Week. This Lock of the Week is Sean O'Malley. There's a lot of fighters on this card that I like, a lot of fighters that I'm confident in, but none of them I'm as confident in as Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley was piecing up Chito Vera in their first fight. He knocked out Aljamain Sterling, and I just think that Chito Vera is going to try to be too patient in there, and he's going to get caught. Sean O'Malley is retaining and still, and he's the Lock of the Week for this week.
Yeah. I have Sugar Sean by KO in this one. Sure, he lost the last fight, but we all know the perennial nerve stuff that happened with that. I feel like if that never happened, Sugar Sean would have won that fight. And the knockout over Aljo is way better than any of Chito Vera's knockouts over what?
Knocked out Dominic Cruz,
Frankie Edgar, and Dominic Cruz, like old ass bantamweights.
Yeah.
That's not that impressive.
Right. I mean, Sugar Sean's striking is just unbeatable. I think he's just going to piece him up in this fight. And I mean, I really don't see why you would put your money on Vera in this one. So it's definitely the Lock of the Week, guys.
Guys, and that concludes the 299 full card breakdown. We're going to release a later video this week reacting to the press conference. Hopefully it's not one of those shitty press conferences. We got a little bit of a treat for the 298 with Volkan to Poirier. They went back and forth a good bit. So we're going to release a reaction video to that later this week. Like we said, lock in Sean O'Malley. Thank you to Peyton for coming on the channel for this episode. And until Saturday, guys, stay safe. GC MMA out.
We'll see y'all.